Had Speed Pro Auxetic 2.0. I already tried the previous version, I tried the 360 Plus. Graphene Speed Pro from like 10 years ago was actually my main racket of choice for a while. Obviously the differences across those years are quite big. I would say that the 360 Plus Speed Pro was a turning point for the line, and in general 360 Plus Graphene was a great cycle for head, and whole catalog actually improved in my opinion. I think that 2.0 Speed Pro in general is a bit closer to the 360 Plus in feel. This gummy, let's say rubberized feel on the string bed while you strike the ball. I prefer the feel of this Speed Pro compared to the previous edition from 2022. That being said, they did increase the swing wave, they shifted the balance a bit lower. I think actually it was a bit of mistake from head, because one of the head coaches in my city changed from the Prestige Pro to the Speed Pro, looking for a bit more help, a bit more performance for free. And this is quite interesting. When you compete, there's a lot of running, there's a lot of motions on the run. So with Prestige, you have perfect feel of the swing. It's a great racket for drills, but when you compete, you're almost always on the move. And Prestige and Gravity are very control-oriented, which means that you don't have a lot of free power. So when you're on the run, and you load up your swing, you try to accelerate. With Speed Pro, it is a bit easier to kinda loop into the shot. With Gravity and Prestige, you can't just time your loop to the ball, you also have to extend to get something more, to get a bit more juice. So it costs you a lot more energy to perform, especially on defense. And Speed Pro, you kinda can save some energy and focus maybe on core stability and this perfect loop, because overall Speed Pro is a bit heavier racket in hand. It feels heavier, and it's a bit harder to manipulate the head compared to Prestige. Gravity, yes, similar I would say, but the twist wave overall of the Speed Pro, yeah, it's a tank. It's a bit more towards aggressive players that want to penetrate the court. And when it comes to the Speed Pro Auxetic 2.0, I will say that they kept the performance of the general idea behind the design and behind the player profile. So across 360 Plus, Auxetic 1.0, 2.0, I would say all the players will feel at home with those rackets. The performance is just close enough, you don't have to worry that much about changing. Only thing maybe that's worth mentioning is the increase in swing wave. I think some players might feel the difference, and like I already mentioned, the coach in the academy is quite sensitive about the swing wave, and coming from the Prestige Pro to the Speed Pro, it was okay for him, but when he held for a second the 2.0, he immediately noticed the bump in swing wave and said it's not his preference. He has now a problem, because 2.0 probably too demanding on those specific situations on the courts where you don't really have ability to use your core into the swing, you just kind of rely only on your wrist. Higher swing wave can actually slow you down and tear you down. So yeah, that is a problem. But the benefit is that you have a bit more stability, a bit more power, a bit more penetration. So always something for something. Had lowered the balance point of the newest Speed Pro, I didn't feel that much difference. I think the bump in swing wave just masked it. So overall, Speed Pro 2.0 is more heavy to swing. Speed Pro is a quite specific racket. I feel like the window above the net where I am aiming is a bit smaller and actually lower. Like whenever I try to hit a bit higher above the net, looking for a bit more loopy shot, I notice that I am losing the ball, hitting a bit too long. So It is not as spin-friendly racket as Gravity Pro with steel 1820 string pattern, and it's not as spin-friendly as the Prestige MP. Even with the Prestige Pro, I can shape the ball a bit better because the overall power level of the Prestige Pro is a bit lower. Therefore, if I swing a bit more up, it won't punish me with this added power, and I can actually hit higher without hitting long. With Speed Pro, whenever I try to do it, it's a risky shot. I have to keep it in mind whenever I play and aim a bit lower, but not too low, because overall it's an 1820 string pattern, so you can clip the net if you aim too low. So when it comes to the aiming above the net, Speed Pro in that sense is a bit unfriendly racket, punishing racket, but at the same time, if you already have a vision of how you want to play and how you want to play above the net, then you can kind of lock in. You know when the Speed Pro is punishing you, so you kind of can regroove your swing, regroove your motion, and you know, find this zone where you just never miss, because you exactly know how to perform with the racket and when it performs the best. Yes, Speed Pro is giving you a lot. It's a very rewarding racket, meaning if you decide to accelerate, extend through the ball, you really get a lot of juice, a lot of penetration. It's a great racket for backhand, I would say, and always has been. Forehand as well, if you don't try to hit a loopy ball. You kinda must have similar vision of extension through the ball on your forehand and backhand side. They kinda ask you to play similarly, where I kinda have a flatter backhand and more loopy forehand, so I need a more forgiving racket on my forehand, I would say, meaning sense of how long I will shoot the ball. Prestige Pro is amazing on this aspect, but shaping the ball up and down is a bit harder. T-Fight 305 is great on shaping the ball, but you lose a little bit of this feel how far you will shoot. So yeah, always something for something, right? Speed Pro, amazing on those counter punches. I just lack a bit of this tactician sense. I can't really play dirty tennis with this racket. It just asks me to play in a very specific way, and I don't always want to play like this. With Gravity Pro, I can shape the ball because the overall dwell time pocketing is better with the Gravity Pro, meaning it holds the ball on the string bed a bit longer, so I have more time to kind of import my vision to the ball, and the ball will listen. With the Speed Pro, you're kind of looping into the ball, and the ball just goes off hot. So if you mistime it or you don't accelerate in a specific way, you can lose the ball and hit most likely out too far. I think with the Speed Pro, the biggest risk is not clipping the net, is hitting long. On backhand, I could really punish the ball because my backhand is aiming a bit lower above the net, so it understands the Speed Pro. Forehand, I'm sometimes going into this pusher mode. I hit a bit more up and trying to frustrate the opponent, or maybe I just need to slow down the rally and rebuild my tactic. And you know, playing with shapes can give you control of the rally and the pace of the rally, and this is very important. I think this is a natural thing for players that were developed on clay. On hard courts, you kind of learn how to be aggressive and dominate from start to finish, while on clay you learn how to be smart. That's my take. And yeah, Speed Pro, great for hard courts, not so great on clay. It's a bit harder to be smart with the Speed Pro. It doesn't listen that way to all the strokes that the player can perform. Prestige MP, Gravity Pro, even Prestige Pro are a bit better from head for those type of players like me. Radical Pro is kinda on the fence between those group of rackets and Speed Pro, because Radical overall gives you that little boost, gives you that little more penetration that could be very good on hard chords. And it's a 16-19 string pattern that can benefit those clay players. It has a smaller head size compared to the Speed Pro, also a bit more control, a bit more sense of how far you will shoot. But the stiffness and this boost in power is a bit, I hope that the upcoming Radical Pro will be a bit softer, so you'll have a bit longer dwell time, a bit more pocketing to kinda increase this ability to shape the ball however you want, with still great control, but still a bit more juice compared to the Prestige line or Gravity line. So yeah, Radical in theory is my perfect racket. I just don't like the way it feels, and this boost in power, kinda trampoline effect from the Radical Pro, is a bit weird. So whenever I try to put some shape on the ball, I also kinda lose the control, I lose the ball and shoot a bit too far, similarly to the Speed Pro. So yeah, Radical is kinda on the edge, so I hope they will slightly push this racket towards my preference, because overall I would prefer to play with 16-19 string pattern or 18-19. Prestige Pro suits my swing style perfectly, but the string pattern of this racket is a bit closed, so it kind of takes away some of the options that I can choose from with 18-19 or 16-19 string patterns. Even 16-20 string patterns gives you a bigger toolbox, like I like to say. So yeah, I guess that's it for this review. Subscribe if you can. Speed Pro, great racket, but not for me, a bit too hot, and the box above the net is a bit too small. So yeah, guys, subscribe and see you soon.